AI in Action is brought to you by Alldus International, covering your business's staffing, consulting, and networking needs. Our host, Mark Kelly, brings you the leading minds in AI, sharing their story, their success, and their advice. Focusing on fast-tracking you to the top, AI in Action cuts through the hype to help you kickstart your data science career. To listen to the latest AI in Action podcast, head over to www.alldus.com/podcast or subscribe via iTunes, Stitcher, or Google Podcasts.
Welcome to the AI in Action podcast. I'm your host, Mark Kelly. Today's guest is Justin DoBosh. Justin is the technology director at Bookkeeper. And Justin is going to tell us today a little bit about what Bookkeeper does and how it's actually changing the game in terms of bookkeeping, or how they like to say bookkeeping. Justin, very welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Justin, tell us a bit of a brief background about yourself and then how Bookkeeper came about.
Yeah, so before working at Botkeeper, I worked in Bank of America's cybersecurity division, basically building automation tools to help the frontline people manning the firewalls work more effectively. So, and then it came to Botkeeper, and basically Botkeeper's whole premise is if you hire a outsourced bookkeeping agency or you have a bookkeeper internally, we can do what they do much faster than they can, and we can also provide you real-time insights using like real-time dashboarding and other automation tools to basically give you the data that you want faster and for a lot less money.
Usually, and again, I use an accountant, and I kind of pride myself on using an accountant because I know the person. I can just hand over all my problems in terms of trying to figure out what to do and how to do it. They've got a magic wand in some cases in my mind, but that's not the reality of the situation because there's a lot of work that they can do that can be automated, that can be made life a lot less challenging. Tell us about how you actually went to figuring that problem out and the kind of process that was involved in that.
The company was created back in 2015. So I joined last year. So for the first 2 years of the company, they had some low-level automation and basically just had a lot of people behind the scenes. And that basically allowed them to figure out like what were the manual processes that like humans definitely should not be doing. And those were around data entry. So at Botkeeper, we firmly believe that no human should ever do data entry or even like moving data out of a system to another system. So that was like the first low-hanging fruit that we covered. And so we use OCR to basically, when a client wants to send us a document, they can use one of our products called ScanBot, which is in our mobile app. They can just take a picture of any document or image, then that's sent to our OCR engine, extracts the data. Our data validation team in the Philippines then reviews that information, because OCR systems are, they're never perfect. So we always have a human take a look at them and verify that information. Once that information has been verified, then we sync it to their accounting systems or to Bill.com or their other payment platform.
Tell us a little bit about the importance of getting customer feedback, designing it, knowing that you're trying to help the customers have better service, have a cheaper service, have a service that's going to be, I suppose, got empathy in it. And how did you actually kind of go about doing that?
A great example of how we built a feedback system is with our uncategorized account or uncategorized transaction manager. So every month, a business will incur a few uncategorized transactions. These are like one-off transactions that kind of fall outside the normal operations of the business. And our system doesn't know how to categorize them. So what we do is we use a machine learning algorithm on the back end, a multinomial logistic regression algorithm, to basically try to predict what we think that transaction should be categorized as. And then we ask the customer or the client to log into our app and then just to verify whether we predicted it correctly or if they need to adjust it. If they adjust it to like a different account, say we predicted it incorrectly, our Philippines data validation team will then be notified. They review the transaction to make sure everything looks good, and then it's synced back to their QBO account. So like we're getting the customer engaged in the process, but we're only notifying them when our system is unsure of something. And the best part about that is they don't ever need to recategorize that transaction because it's stored in our database. And next month, if they do have that transaction reoccur, they don't have to do anything. We don't even notify them because our system has learned and now knows how to handle those transactions.
I'm guessing that's where the ML comes in, because they know it now. The computers kind of set that up for them.
Yep, correct.
And tell us a little bit where you kind of see customer service going in applications in the future, because this seems very natural in terms of how you actually positioned it. You're using kind of intuition. You mentioned that example where next month the customer doesn't even have to be informed. It's very straightforward. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Basically, botkeeper is not here to replace all humans. We really believe there's this human computer collaboration that's really at the center of all the technology we build. So humans do some things great that computers suck at, and so one of those things would be, having some emotional intelligence, being able to really empathize with the customer. So, and we understand that our systems aren't going to do everything right, and when they do fail, not trying to build another backup system to handle when that failure happens, but immediately getting a human involved, and then having the system basically not just displaying an error message and being like, oh, an error happened, but explaining oh, here's what the system was doing at the time of failure, and then okay, this is what you need to go do to talk to this client. So giving the human kind of basically, if you and I were working together and I was out sick or something, before I went away for vacation or was out sick, telling you where I left off, what I need you to do, and what those next steps are. We found that really, makes the human computer collaboration a lot more seamless and really works well for clients.
We've already seen how AI and machine learning is making a big impact on businesses and their customers' relationship. Where do you see the customer experience heading in the next, 2 to 3 years? I'd be tempted to say 3 to 5 years, but it's so challenging to know.
Basically, I don't think that the customers are going to be interacting on a web, through a website or even a mobile app. So one of the cool features we're working on, it's in the R&D stage now, but basically allowing our customers to communicate with us via voice. So basically, we'll be building out, in the early versions, we'll be building out integrations into Amazon Alexa and to Google Home, where our clients can just put a little Google Home in their office, and then they could just be like, hey, BettyBot, what are my top 5, highest grossing products last month? And then BettyBot would communicate with our API, and then Amazon Alexa or Google Home would then, read that information back to the client. So having more of that human interaction, that's where I think that AI and technology is going.
Yeah, I recently saw an Amazon evangelist speak about the amount of companies just adding different skill sets to Alexa, and it's just growing and growing. I think there was some crazy stats, something by 2020, 30% of North American companies will have an Amazon Alexa skill added for their business, and a lot of those people having that within cars, and just literally, as you said, asking a question and it comes up straight away, because it can be quite a clunky experience to go onto a website, not to mention a mobile phone, because there's very little real estate to be tapping around.
Exactly. Yeah, people want the information super quick and super easy, and basically just asking a question is so much easier than logging out to your phone or your desktop computer or whatever and trying to hunt down that information. People don't want dashboards and all these other metrics. They just want the end result, the answer. And that's where a lot of our customers have been telling us this, and that's why we're trying to go towards that voice direction.
And it gets a lot more complicated when you add in kind of natural language. I always remember when I was working in enterprise rent-a-car years ago, where people would ask for a sat navigation in the sat navigation system, and some people would say sat navi, or some people would say GPS navigation system, or some people would say SN, and you'd be kind of looking at them going, what are you talking about? So then when you add that to voice, or you add that to kind of instant messenger, there's so many different considerations that you need to take into consider when doing that. So it's quite a complex task to do.
Yeah, it definitely is. For the voice, we use AWS Lex, which is what Amazon Alexa is built off of. And then on the IM side, we use a product that was open sourced by Facebook called Wit AI, which is really great. Basically, there's a ton of ways you can ask what the weather is. And so basically you can put in all those different variants, and then it will start to learn and pick up on those. But yeah, NLP is definitely a difficult area. That's why we have several ML engineers here at botkeeper that basically all they do is work on AI and NLP.
So you've been listening to the AI in Action podcast. I've been speaking to Justin DoBosh. Justin is the technology director at botkeeper, a bookkeeping service that is allowing you to do your bookkeeping faster, more efficient, and actually more cost effective as well. And we're talking about how voice is going to be changing the game in a variety of different business applications, not to mention in bookkeeping. Justin, how can people find out a little bit more about botkeeper?
Yeah, so you can head on over to our website at botkeeper.com. That's botkeeper.com.
Justin, thank you very much for your time today.
Thanks.
AI in Action is brought to you by Alldus International, covering your business's staffing, consulting, and networking needs. Alldus offer an exec search program. Alldus can help you discover how data science and AI can transform your company. With our unrivaled network of C-suite executives and senior AI professionals, we offer retained search services across the US and Europe. For more information, contact mark@alldus.com. Get the Alldus advantage. Become a member of the Alldus community and enjoy some of the following: AI meetups. Once a month, our community gathers to listen to some of the leading experts in the world of data science and AI. Our speakers come from all over the world, including Dublin, Boston, and Frankfurt. We also have our AI mentors. Our experts will provide mentoring to Alldus members. And don't forget our AI in Action podcast. Each week we have guests from all over the world talking us through their education, career, and more. Become an Alldus member and get the Alldus advantage. For more information and to sign up for our newsletter, log on to www.alldus.com. That's www.alldus.com. Alldus International, empowering through AI.